What is going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 71 of the Yamcast. Today we're talking news from Kawasaki. We've got a new model on the way. Going to see some news about that. We've also got innovations and advancements in dirt bikes. Everyone loves to see that. Well, at least we love to see it. I don't know about everybody, but it is what it is. We've also got a partnership between Kawi and Yamaha we're going to talk about that could be a bit of a game changer if they can manage to get it done correctly. Then, for our second part of this week, we have a special little segment in which we're going to read chapter 1 of the Yami Noob fanfic as provided by a beautiful user of ours on Discord called Millennial Malaise. I made him a promise. And I keep my promises. I'm a man of my word that I would read this fanfic. He's not done yet, but we're reading chapter 1 of the fanfic today for the second segment. Then we're going to move on to the DM portion of our podcast. We're talking long motorcycle rides. The boys are going to send us some fun messages, going to chat about that. And then at the end, we've got a meme contest where it's about none other than a Royal Enfield Meteor 350, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw some dude rolling around on a Meteor 350 and I was like, this has to be made into memes.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see those memes. So sit back, relax. It's going to be a good one. Let's get into it. Alrighty, Spite. Lead us off on the first bit of news here. What do we got?
Okay, so our first piece of news, let me go picture in picture so the folks at home can see what we're seeing, is the Kawasaki Ninja ZX4R launch ready in theory. So we have heard some speculation about this before. I think we've even covered it on the Yamcast in the past. We know that they make the ZX25R.
Yes, which piqued many people's interest here in North America and Europe, being like, oh my God, a tiny four-cylinder, whoa.
For some reason, I don't think anybody understands how slow that is. Because they're like, it's a 250 that makes like, what?
50 horsepower, I think, which is a lot for a 250.
But every piston is like the size of that Coke cap right there.
Yeah. These baby little pistons moving as fast as they possibly can to produce something in the way of power. Probably like 6 foot-pounds of torque, you know?
But I think if we saw a ZX4R, 400-ish cc's, I mean, it'd still be a gutless motherfucker, but it would it might actually produce like 70 horsepower and be a beginner bike.
I think the ZX4R could be interesting for a lot of reasons, right? Like, number one, we've seen it with the R7 videos. We've seen it a lot with the RS660 videos. People like the four-cylinder sound. They like the four-cylinder vibe. They like the four-cylinder situation on motorcycles. They want to see a bike that makes the classic four-cylinder sound. However, in the modern day, you can't really get a four-cylinder bike that is beginner-appropriate, really. The CB650s are like the closest ones nowadays. But other than that, everything else is a super sport that's going to kill you, probably. So the ZX4, this four-cylinder offering, could be interesting, right? You can make it A2 compliant pretty easily. I don't know how they're going to pass emissions with the tiny four-cylinder for Europe, because that's the biggest problem that a lot of them face nowadays, you know?
I mean, it wouldn't ship with this itsy-bitsy little bread box that's on there.
No.
These are renderings, by the way. This isn't actually the bike.
They're like, Indonesia, as much carbon monoxide as you can throw on it. Doesn't matter to us, you know? It's a different world out there.
But so to be clear, this is all in theory. People have been kicking around the idea that this is going to happen, and it's an answer. It's odd because at least based on these renderings, that looks like Ninja 400 ergos.
A little bit. It looks a little more aggressive, I would say. I can't quite tell how tall the foot pegs are there, but this article is saying that, you know, from sources in Japan, it's all but confirmed and certain that this bike will be launched soon. It's kind of like when we heard about the R7. It was like, well, it's going to happen. The question is this going to happen for the other markets that aren't in Asia?
Yep, so that's the question. We've seen the ZX25
it's only in Asia,
but you have to import it. And I could think of so many better ways to spend the money than importing a ZX25 to the States. I don't know if I would put my money on this being imported, honestly.
Yeah.
I think it's not going to replace the Ninja 400. It would probably run alongside it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the weird thing, right? Like, the Ninja 400 is a really popular, great motorcycle that Kawasaki does super well with, and I guarantee you, this is something we're going to talk about as well. guarantee you they would have better margins on these Ninja 400 versus a ZX4. They would have to price this thing probably 50% more than the Ninja 400.
So what? That would be $75
or $8,000.
Yeah,
for a 70 horsepower bike.
Pass.
No one's. I mean, well, you look at the MT-07. That's $8,000 for a 75
but it's an
horsepower
MT-07.
bike. It's got a big engine in it. It's 689 cc. It doesn't have a little 400 in it, right? And no one else is really making bikes in this category. So, like, what is this supposed to compete with? What do you think?
It doesn't compete with anything. I mean,
yeah.
There's nothing. It's like the RS660 where it kind of carved out its own niche.
Yeah.
Basically, this would be a bike that just exists on its own.
Yeah.
It'd be like they would have to come up with their own racing class.
Yeah. This wouldn't fit. This definitely wouldn't be like a homologated racing bike or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I remember when the RS660 was teased, a lot of it made sense where you're like, oh, okay, it's going to have more power than a Ninja 650. It's a little more sporty, but it's like it was a middle ground bike. Is this another middle ground bike between like a beginner bike and a 650 class bike? This to me...
Do you mean like a CBR 500R?
No, it's better than a CBR 500R. It makes 20 more horsepower or something, right? Supposedly.
Theoretically.
This would slot in between like a Ninja 400 and an RS660.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why you would need a bike between those two classes, but maybe.
Oh, wait, hold on. Here's something that we need to check. What does the Ninja 650 run for?
Ooh, that's a great question.
650 price, if I can spell it right. So the Ninja 650 runs
$7,599.
Yeah, and that, let's go to actually Kawasaki or this Cycle World. They'll have the price somewhere in here. I mean, it's a handsome looking load. $79.99
with the KRT edition. So $75.99 without the fancy paint. So it'd probably be about this much money. I would rather have this over a 650 any day of the week. Any day of the week.
Okay.
Any day.
Sound wise, yeah, sure. But I don't know, man.
Dude.
This is going to have no torque.
But think about the way it's going to feel when you ride it, though. It'll rev out to like 18 grand or something. It'll feel really exciting. Dude, that 650's a dog.
Will it, though?
Yeah, it will. You're not going to go very fast in space and time, but it'll be exciting. You know, it's pretty cool.
I would rather get a 600. Honestly.
But then you're talking about something that has 55 more horsepower.
Yeah.
But that's not beginner appropriate. These are beginner-ish bikes. 650, ZX4. These are entry-level bikes.
Okay,
right?
so but do we think that this would be a good beginner bike because just because it has no torque but still 75 horsepower? I don't know. It's just
I think it would. That's what makes it a good beginner bike. No on-snap torque. Right?
But most bikes nowadays are really torquey. I think generally a lot of motorcycles...
Emissions has kind of made that happen, you know? That's just the problem.
So you get on this, you'd have no throttle discipline anymore. It's like you'd have a little bit of Grom effect down below 5,000 RPM where it's basically just slow as hell.
Not going to do anything. Yeah, so we're a little curious about the ZX4R here. I don't know, man. I don't know about this one.
I'd ride it for sure. And
yeah, definitely.
If it does come out, I have a feeling that it will be one of the first in line to get it as a giveaway bike.
Yeah. The ZX25R here, according to this article, claims 50.3 brake horsepower at 15,500 RPM, but it has a torque max output of 16.9 foot-pounds of torque at 14,500 RPM.
Yeah. That's not good.
That's not good. And they're saying the 400 here, by using math, it would be about 24 foot-pounds of torque at like that same RPM ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough. You know, that's a bike that's not going to move very, like you said, low down, whack it. It doesn't do anything, you know?
I mean, 24 foot-pounds of torque is nothing.
Yeah.
How much does your 250 makes 30 torques? Or is it
Which one? The WR?
Yeah.
Not even close. I think it makes 21, 22 foot-pounds of torque.
But at least it's a thumper.
Yeah.
So you get it down low.
It makes 30 horsepower, I think, or 32. I don't know. It's a WR. You don't think about power. You don't talk about power here. So let's look at it from a different angle, right? So for the American market, European market, we're kind of like, what the fuck is this thing? But Asian market, this is a halo bike. This is dream bike. This
like
is the Indias, the Indonesias of the world, all those kind of developing markets. This is an absolute halo bike that you could still use on their roads is the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you buy a ZX-10 in India, where the are you going to use that?
Nowhere.
I mean, even here you can't use it anywhere, but the road conditions there are so bad, from what I hear from the commenters that tell me, you can't even use those kind of bikes. Mm-hmm. So this is your super bike.
Yeah. I totally get it in that sense.
Yeah.
But I this is another one where I don't think people understand just how slow it really is at the end of the day.
And how it'll feel, you know, how slow it'll feel, and how you'll have to get it to 15 grand to get it to move a little bit, you know? Mm-hmm. Holy crap, that's way up there.
There's a lot of revving.
Yeah. So if the ZX4R does come to the States, I will certainly snap one up. Would love to do one as a gift. It gets so much hype and attention.
Oh, yeah.
But otherwise, kind of a pass for me.
Yep. But next up, we got something that I think tickles both of our fancies here.
Yes. So KTM has finally introduced a quick shifter option on their 2022 factory edition dirt bikes. That's their motocross bikes, the SXFs, the 450 and the 250 four-stroke models. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
No quick shifter options on dirt bikes ever before, and a couple reasons for that, right?
Yeah. So the main reason that I can think of, especially if you're looking at the screen right now, that's what most quick shifters look like.
Yep.
It's a rod with a big fancy sensor and a wire dangling off of it. And anybody who's ridden off-road for even like 10 seconds can tell you that's a horrible idea.
Let me compromise my shifting by the first tip over I have.
Yeah.
Not good.
What is cool, though, is if you look at bikes like the 690 Enduro and 701 Enduro, they have the same quick shifter system that I do, which is all internal, which is what this is.
Yeah.
It's all internal quick shifting. So there's actually a bit that describes it right here, how it's easy shift.
Yep. Upshift only, no auto blip down,
yep.
Which you really don't need on a dirt bike. I mean, my 250 on the motocross track, dude, like you can, I swear you can just like let off the throttle and it'll just go down gears by itself. Mm-hmm. The transmission's awesome on that thing.
Yeah. It's first KTM with an awesome transmission. But yeah, so and it's locked out in first to second, so you actually can't quick shift first to second.
Yeah,
you only get it second, third, fourth. There's not a sixth gear on it, so second, third, fourth.
Second, third, fourth. Yeah. Honestly, I mean, I don't know if this is just like the way I ride, but I never use first gear on my dirt bike on the track. I use second and third basically everywhere, and sometimes fourth if I'm feeling particularly brave, which I'm not usually. I don't really use first gear much. I don't feel the need to, but I'm not racing these bikes, and this is the factory edition, so you'd be ready to race, right? I mean, maybe you are using first gear. I don't use first gear on the track.
Yeah, and I think that this is interesting because as somebody who also owns a KTM Thumper that has a quick shifter on it, the fact that they specifically designed it to not run 1 to 2 so that there isn't false neutral. So I'm like, KTM,
they knew.
Man, why does the 690 throw so many false neutrals? Freaking thing. I had to order $170 worth of parts to make it stop.
KTM, keep the manual.
Oh man.
Yeah. But this is cool, you know, more innovation, more things happening in the world of dirt bikes. You know, I would love to see if, you know, pro motocross guys can pull out faster laps with the quick shifter system versus a regular one. Mm-hmm. That's certainly the case with a track day setup on a quick shifter for that kind of motorcycle. Even amateur guys pull out faster laps with a quick shifter just because you don't spend time shifting.
Yep.
It's marginal, but it does help. You know, it does make a little bit of a difference. So we're seeing here, guy in the article says, will the quick shifter make a difference? KTM must think so because the actual race bikes used in Monster Energy AMA Supercross are based on these factory editions. It's possible that this tech will trickle down into other models too. Why not say the 450 SMR Supermoto? That would be slick.
That one seems like it should have the down option.
Yeah, for sure.
Because those guys like to, you know, to fucking back it in.
Yeah. Yeah, but maybe the auto blip down would be bad because you want to be able to float the clutch out and be able to, you know, do the whole back and in thing.
That's true.
Yeah. But this is cool. It's cool to see stuff changing in the world of dirt bikes and more evolution in it. Because I think a lot of people kind of view fancy dirt bikes now as kind of like, well, that's pretty much a solved motorcycle, isn't it? How much better can they get? I mean, the improvements are so marginal year over year on these things.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like leader bikes. You're like, okay, they make 5 more horsepower and they're just as fast as they were 10 years ago. So where are we going? Like, what are we doing?
I think it's interesting that I think more so in dirt bikes than anywhere else, the tech peaked a long time ago.
For sure.
I mean, that's why they still have the designs from the early days of dirt bikes. Is yours a stressed member or is it a cradle?
It's a cradle. Yeah. But the thing is with the dirt bike, I don't know the intricacies of it, but I guarantee you a cradle, it needs to be a cradle because of the kind of, rotation and impacts and stuff.
It would like snap to pieces if it was a
stress member. You think about those impacts and the at professional levels, how they whip them and shit and all the stuff that happens, the hitting berms, has to be a cradle. But it's like a super like fancy aluminum, like, bespoke little cradle frame. It's not like the Gixxer's frame.
Nothing is like the Gixxer's frame.
Nothing.
But I mean, like they've been cradle frames forever. The DRZ is a cradle frame,
single
cylinder forever. Fuel injection
for a while,
a
long while now.
I don't know. It's just
even up until Suzuki will still sell you a dirt bike with a kickstart, but they're on all electronic start now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean mine has fucking traction control and launch control, for God's sake. So that's cool.
Bananas. Like you have an IMU in there.
I never use it. I don't know how to use it. I just ride the bike and hope not to die when I'm on it.
Does yours even have a dashboard?
No.
Yeah.
No dash. Yeah, it's got an hour counter on it, but that's it. No dash. Yeah. Because they're literally just race bikes. They're not designed to do anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. What other innovations do you think we would see on these kind of bikes in the coming years? I mean,
I don't even know if you could get the only thing that my brain goes to is like a semi-active suspension situation, but that seems like it would be so complicated on the dirt.
God, yeah. Because imagine how much it changes and undulates,
Yeah, like constantly. Each lap the track is different.
Yep.
So, like there's no basis.
Yeah. Because you'll see in GP, those guys will set up the suspension and the mapping of the bike and everything to work different on every corner of the track, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that here because the track literally changes every lap.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it has to just be a more general use package that the rider really can exploit and use,
I think maybe the only thing that they can get yours has variable maps on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's out. I can't really think of anything.
Make them lighter and better, I guess.
What are they going to make it out of? Breadsticks?
I don't know. Yeah, they're already pretty light.
I mean, yours is what, 260 pounds?
230.
Damn.
228 or something like that.
That's so fucking light.
My buddy's two-stroke is 192 pounds. Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, I mean, wait. Where are you going to find more weight?
I don't know.
You got to chop your arms off and get,
start
fancy
eating salads.
Yeah.
Can't expect the bike to keep losing weight. Yeah, I always do think it's quite funny, not to dog on some of the guys at the motocross track, but you'll see guys on fully built out CRF 450Rs and stuff like that, and they're kind of pudgy, and I'm like, okay, you got a super lightweight, powerful bike, but you're still packing pounds. It's
mm-hmm.
Come on, man, come on.
Yeah, I mean the easiest place to shed weight is right here, one less cheeseburger.
Yeah.
So. But
what is our last bit of news? We have something a little crazy on this one.
Yeah. Okay. So this one is wild. Kawasaki and Yamaha jointly developing hydrogen-powered engines. So we've talked about this a couple of times. Hydrogen-powered stuff as a alternative fuel.
I know you got opinions.
Yeah, I got opinions. But this is it's one more thing where we're seeing people really looking to get away from the gas-powered engine, which obviously the writing is on the wall here.
It is, but not to lose the flavor and charm of a piston engine. I think that's the thing, because I think we dislike electric bikes for the fact that they don't have the moving mechanical parts and all the charm about the gas engines, right? So if you had an alternate fuel that still did the same thing but burned clean, hey, neat.
The question is, there is no, well, not the question. The reality is there's no such thing as clean burn. That's not what happens.
Cleaner, let's say.
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, the chemical reaction is always gives you CO2 and water. Every single time. That's what happens. So, I mean, what you gonna do? Electric bikes.
CO2 and water aren't poisonous to the environment like carbon monoxide is, right?
Yeah, so that is the thing.
Gases.
You could really stop a lot because
if you had a bike that just emitted CO2 and water, that'd be like us. That's what we emit. We emit CO2 and water into the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. But we still are going to have. Let's say for en masse, we have every motorcycle or every vehicle. We just snap our fingers, and they're just emitting CO2. Everybody's still driving and emitting a shitload of CO2.
Mm-hmm.
So I still think that while this may stave off the death of the internal combustion engine, I don't think it's like a magic bullet that's going to stop it.
Well, it seems like this partnership is between Kawasaki, Toyota, Mazda, Yamaha, and Subaru to achieve carbon neutrality. This is part of a larger collaboration that everybody's trying to work on hydrogen-powered engines. So I don't know if all these big companies are willing to invest in this, but they're also investing a lot in electric vehicles, right? Like they're kind of hedging their bets because no one really knows which ways it's going to go. You know what I mean? You're just trying to see 20 years in the future of like, what's mobility going to look like,
But then we go back to our conversation 2 weeks ago where Ducati, who famously drew a line in the sand about never making electric-powered sport bikes.
Yeah.
And now they're making all of the Moto e-bikes.
Yeah.
Like their whole thing was synth gas.
They just wanted more data from the tracks. That's all they wanted.
They're like, we gotta win GP. There's 8 Ducatis on we gotta win somehow.
Count the Moto e-bikes. There's like 20 Ducatis on the grid total.
I mean, that's so much bike.
They're gonna be Moto e world champions.
Yeah, there we go. It just cost them millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Millions and millions.
I don't know. I don't think hydrogen is... Look, it's the most common element in the universe. But we don't have... I don't know that we have the ability to just create like a hydrogen cylinder at a way that's really going to be carbon neutral.
Yeah, I mean, it's a funny thing. It's like, oh, it's the most abundant element in the universe. It is, but I think it's like there's one hydrogen atom per every like cubic meter in space.
Yeah.
It's abundant, but not in the way you think. You know what I mean? Like
it would be astronomical to try to get that much hydrogen in gas stations.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work particularly. But clearly there's a bunch of extremely intelligent people at all these different companies that seem to think it can work. I mean, they have hydrogen engines that work, right? They've existed. Like they've made something work, right?
Oh yeah, you can definitely run an engine off of hydrogen.
Yeah.
You can there's a clip from the Mythbusters back in the day where they put an old carbureted car on a dyno and fed it hydrogen gas right out of a cylinder.
Nice.
And it ran. It backfired and almost, burned all the hair off of somebody's arm, which is just one more reason why you don't want to have hydrogen.
Yep.
It's, anybody want to go ride in a blimp with hydrogen anymore? I mean... That's a pretty good reason why not to use it as a fuel.
Yeah.
But then again, we do have vehicles all day rolling around with flammable dyno juice, so what the hell do I know?
Yeah, I mean, if you had told people nowadays, if cars didn't exist at all and vehicles didn't exist at all, and you told everyone nowadays, like, oh, we're going to have, like, at every corner, like, stations with massively flammable fluids that you can just pump into your vehicle and be on your way. You're like, no, we're not going to do that. That's nuts, That's actually, back in the day, a fun story is like one of the World's Fairs, there was an electric engine and there was a internal combustion engine, and they were like, what do you guys think is going to be the future? And they're like, this internal combustion engine's disastrous. It's so unsafe. Yeah.
Obviously this is going to be the way to go. And then
somehow no.
Nope. So I'm kind of dubious on this hydrogen-powered engine. I really am not sold.
Yeah. Well, these partnerships are getting interesting. We're seeing the swappable battery partnership, the electric vehicle stuff,
That
hydrogen
one makes a
stuff.
lot of sense, though.
They're all trying. Everyone's trying to figure out the next big thing because you want to be the market leader for whatever is going to be the next big push.
Yeah.
I personally think it's going to be like some weird combination of like e-bikes, like e-bicycles, and swappable batteries and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be hydrogen engines.
Because the infrastructure's basically already there.
Yeah.
For that. It's just a matter of getting people to accept it, which I know you and I will accept it over our cold, dead bodies.
Yes.
So, it's just, if given the choice, I suppose I would want a hydrogen bike more than an electric bike.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just don't see it.
Yeah. Well, folks, that's going to do us for the news this week. We're now going to move on to the next segment of our podcast, which should be the fanfic section, but I don't think Millennial Malaise has provided me with the access code for the Google Doc, so it's trapped behind a locked door.
Please, God, do not let the door unlock. Please,
So
God, do not let the door unlock.
We're going to move on to the DM segment of our podcast. Alrighty, folks, welcome to the DM portion of our podcast. This is where we poll our Discord members for some fun questions and answers on things. And today's topic that we're talking about long rides on motorcycles. Arguably one of the best parts about getting on a motorcycle is the ability to get on, jump on your bike, go a really long distance, see a new place, get to ride there. It's a great experience. So we're talking long rides on motorcycles today. So if you have something to say about a long ride, if you have done a long ride, what'd you do it on? If there's a long ride you want to do, what bike have you done long rides on that you may or may not have wanted to do it on? That's what we're talking about today. So if you have a story you want to share, please shoot a DM to Spite. We will share it here live on air, and we will talk about long rides on motorcycles. So the reason we came up with this today is because we rode the Goldwing.
Yeah.
Which people will check out that video on Friday of this week. And that really changed my perception of what a long ride could be.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you share some of your feedback on that?
I mean, it's fabulous.
It's
so good.
It's amazing.
You literally, the miles melt away on that motorcycle.
Yeah.
I completely see how somebody could wake up before dawn and ride until dusk and be fine.
Totally. 500 miles, 600 miles, 800 miles in a day on that thing. What's the problem?
Yeah.
You just sit there and you are just enveloped in luxury,
Mm-hmm. I mean, the heated seat, the heated grips, the automatic windscreen. It's the best long distance motorcycle, bar none.
Yeah, ever made, probably. What do you think about people who maybe don't own a bike that is as obviously capable to long distance as the Goldwing? Should they not go on long distance rides, or do you think that you just take the tool you got and make it work?
You got to take the tool you got to do whatever you want to do. I mean, I've ridden long days on my SMCR.
I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, I've done like 200-300 mile days on the SMCR. There's some days where I'm like, God, I want this to end. And there's other days where I'm just like, this is awesome. I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
I did the Sisters not too long ago on the SMCR. And
there and back in one day?
Not there and back in one day, but I did the loop twice.
Wow.
And that's a lot of riding.
It's a lot of riding, yeah.
It's rough on the SMCR, I'm not going to lie, but it's still worth doing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
You should go back to the Sisters with potentially your future KLR that you're going to get, because there's a lot of cool dual sport and off-road stuff in that area that I've actually wanted to go and check out too. There's lots of cool stuff out there.
I actually think the KLR would be a perfect motorcycle to do all that on.
Truly, if you're going to ride all the way out there, yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just chuck my WR on the back of my truck and get there.
But then you don't get to ride the bike out there. And riding the bike is going somewhere on the back of a motorcycle is the most idyllic. Why do we keep hearing about the long way round all the time?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I rode my desert sled all the way to freaking Mexico and back, right?
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, that was a true adventure on that bike. I rode from Galeana back to Austin. It was 9.5 hours in the saddle. From twisty, I started the day on a twisty mountain road in the middle of Mexico and ended in Austin at the end of my day.
That's unreal.
It was crazy, and it was cold and wet. And it was what we call like level 3 fun, where it took me a year to talk about it again. But yeah, I think people overthink the ability of any bike to just get on the road and go a really long distance, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I used to feel that with my R3. I was like, I don't want to go for a long ride because what if something happens, or it's like a sport bike? It's, dude, just get on the bike and just go. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see what the Discord boys have to say. They should all be coming in here now. All right. Next, we got SWS Zipper.
SWS Zipper says, learn from me, don't do a long ride on a Grom. I yearned for more power the whole time. We have experience with that. We did a long ride on a Grom that felt even longer because it was a friggin' Grom.
I think we did like 60 miles, and we were like, I want to die.
Yeah, I was like, this fucking blows. So yeah, maybe don't use a Grom for that. It's a little bit of a hard situation on a Grom. Maybe think about, like, what does your fuel range on your bike look like? That might tell you about how long you should be riding it, you know?
Yep.
Maybe that's it.
Next up, we got Matthew.
Matthew here says, longest ride ever did was 3.5 hours on a fucking miserable V-Star 650, all interstate. I could barely do the speed limit at all to go pick up a Suzuki M90, only to get there and for them to change the entire finance terms. So I left and went home 3.5 hours back the way I came. Oof, that sucks.
Brutal.
Damn. Yeah, that's the one thing as well, is if you're going to do a long ride, try to pick something that is a little more, you know, scenic perhaps. Like we have a ride up here, Austin to Dallas. It's just a big old concrete slab of a ride.
Sucks.
That ride just sucks. I've done it so many times, not on a motorcycle, but in a car and a truck. It just sucks. You just got to get through it. And that's not fun on a bike.
Next up, we got X2.
X2 says, hey, Spite, the longest trip I took was a trip from LA to San Francisco via PCH. Man, that's nice. It was amazing. Great views between San Luis Obispo and Monterey. Big Sur, as it's known. Big Sur is beautiful. I rode on my Vitpillen 701, talk about sport touring. I did the trip in 12 hours and spent 3 days with my friends out in Berkeley, California. Then I turned around and did it backwards. 10 out of 10 would do again. I'm likely going to do this again to go visit them. This is something that's actually up on our board up there for 2022 is I want to do almost this same ride. PCH, all day, sport touring.
Hell yeah.
It's a sick ride.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those like bucket list rides for people in the States.
Yeah.
Around the world even, I think.
It's world class. Yeah. I mean, the riding in California is just, you guys are absolutely spoiled out there. We're so jealous. There's trails everywhere, twisty roads everywhere. The weather's always amazing. You can split. It's motorcycle heaven.
Yeah.
What the hell are we doing here in Austin? No state income tax. Good for us.
This is just where it all landed.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Hamraz BB.
Hamraz BB says, my favorite long ride was riding out to the mountains 6 hours, doing some ADV trails for 2 days, riding back in pure comfort. Long live the GS. Y'all do sleep on it, though, ADV bikes. Yeah, I mean, that's a great thing, too. Do a huge, I mean, you talk about this with ADV bikes. Big long ride, bop around some trails, big long ride back, like we did in Utah, basically.
Yeah, and I did it on the back of a GS, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I just like the Pan America more because it's a better motorcycle. But yeah, I love the idea of ADV riding. It's just so cool.
It is cool.
Next up is DW Roundsaval.
Maybe Drownsaval? I don't know. Recently made a trip to Lafayette, Louisiana to see some family. Made it to Houston on my XSR 700, but switched to an S1000 XR, and I'm glad that I did. My back and butt were killing me from the Austin to Houston ride on the XSR. It's funny, like little things on a bike can really change the level of comfort that you have. If the seat is just a little too hard, if the bars are just a little too vibey, if you don't have cruise control, if you don't have heated grips, if you start taking it all away, all of a sudden it becomes a lot more miserable.
Yeah. I mean, one of the cheapest things that I see a lot of people who do big miles do is the sheepskin mod for their seat.
Yep.
They just get a fake shag carpet and they just put it on their seat, and then they're like, yeah, now I'm good all day long.
Yep.
And just like little changes here and there. Next up, we got Breadneck.
Breadneck says, hey y'all, I don't have a ton of experience with long rides. The most I've done in a given day was about 300 miles from West Michigan to East Michigan and back on my Honda CB500X, all to show my stepdad my new bike. That's sweet. I'm planning on taking it down to Nashville in April for a weekend. I think 300 miles in one day is a pretty long ride.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
150 there, 150 back. That's sizable.
That's a sizable ride. Yeah, I know the Goldwing boys, since we mentioned them in the beginning, are probably like, that ain't nothing. But again, on a Goldwing, it's like a joke how easy it is.
Yeah, are you ready for the amount of gatekeeping about what
God.
long rides are? Because we did like 160 miles today, something like that.
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
We're gonna hear a lot.
We didn't have the time to do it. We got back here barely in time to do the Yamcast. We have things to do. We couldn't spend 400 miles in a day on a Goldwing, and we learned all we needed to learn with it.
It's phenomenal.
It's great. What else do they want us to say? I can't say it's any more better than it already is.
All right, next up we got Coles 10.
Coles 10 says, drove up 2 hours from Phoenix to Prescott, that's a nice ride, to buy my 06 MV Agusta Brutale 910S. Worth it to take the long way home for a 2.5 hour cruise through mountain twisties on AZ 89A. That's a nice road. I was out there in Arizona not too long ago. Only to do the round trip again because the previous owner put the wrong mileage on the title, so I had to register it with him in person. Ouch. 100-degree Fahrenheit, not as much fun, but still surprisingly comfortable on the Brutale. Missed those mountain twisties since moving to Texas. Yeah, we don't have as many twisties here. But yeah, it seems like to be stories of going somewhere and then being like, I gotta go back, and then you go back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you think... I want to get your opinion on this. Do you think the first leg of a trip is the longest or the second leg?
Coming home is the longest. When you're like, I just want to get home. Because you're when you're going out, you're all fresh faced, you're ready to go. You know, maybe you got your big gulp in your cup holder and your you know, songs in your helmet and it's not squeezing your head yet.
Yeah.
After a couple hours, you're just like, fuck this.
I definitely felt that way at the end of, I think it was day 3 in Utah. I was like, get me off this bike, dude. Oh my God. And that was mostly off-road too.
Yeah.
I was tired of getting beat up on that gravel. Get all those washboards. I was like, I'm done, dude. I'm done. Get me off this bike.
Next up, we got Jixer Squid.
Jixer Squid says, Dallas to Fredericksburg in one sitting. Fuel, of course. Rode with my stepfather and his friend. They were both on Goldwings. Smart. I was on a Jixer 600. Yikes. It was horrible, and it killed me to see them both drinking from their cup holders whilst my Camelback ran empty, and I kept reaching down to warm my hands on the engine cover case. Brutal. Dang, Dallas to Fredericksburg on a 600.
That would suck.
It would super suck. I did Dallas to Austin the long way through hill country, about a 5-hour ride on my Daytona in 2016. And that was horrible. I remember being like, wow, this is really crap. I hate being on this bike for 3 hours. Imagine doing like 200 miles on the Fireblade.
No, I'm good. I don't even need to think about that. Next up, we got Hacksaw SF.
Hacksaw SF, my buddy and I rode from Dallas to Eureka Springs, up and down the Pig Trail, 1,003 days around Texas, Arkansas, and Oklahoma. It was the absolute time of my life. I was on my XR 1200 and my buddy was on his Road Glide. The bagger crew was shocked that I would even attempt it on the XR. Oh, it's not that bad.
See, that's the thing about these big bike guys, where they're like, why are you trying to go somewhere on that little baby bike?
Yeah.
And what you realize is that most motorcycles can go most places.
You look back on footage of what people used to do with them back in the day. People would take like, you know, rotted out scramblers for thousands of miles, you know, the Easy Rider people, the original 1%ers and stuff. Those are all like choppers with no suspension. They'd ride them for like 1,000 miles. We've turned into babies, you know?
Yeah, now we need to have the Goldwing, the full electronic suspension. And
we're like, now we can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it without any effort whatsoever, but you can do anything, really.
I actually think I'm doing this ride in May.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I've got a plan with my buddies to go up to, I think I am going to Eureka Springs up the Pig Trail.
Get that KLR with the sheepskin. It'll be good to go.
There we go. Next up, we got Johnny Mish.
Johnny Mish, 2 stories. I rode a KLR 650 3 hours at 7,100 miles per hour the whole time. 2, when I picked up my current bike, I rode a V-Star 1100 2.5 hours to the Cincinnati Goodsey dealer on the way I got pulled over in a CVS parking lot and grabbed the engine until I could feel my hands at all since it was about 35 degrees. Then I ran out of gas on the interstate and I had to jump 2 fences where I found someone who was home at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday in April. The guy drove gas to me and wouldn't take my money, just telling me to pass on the kindness. Also, the KLR 650 ride ended about 40 degrees and I was not prepared, so I was full tuck for 40 minutes. On the way back from Cincy, the Gucci was way better despite lesser wind protection. Second story about a V-Star ride to get another bike. That's a big theme, is cold, man. The cold is something you gotta, heated grips are a lifesaver. When
I was bringing the G-Wing back last night, it was about 45 degrees.
Yeah.
And I had the heated seat on full blast. I hated the grips on full blast. And I had the windscreen at full extension. I was like, I could do this all night.
Oh, yeah. No problem.
But no heated grips, you're good for maybe like half an hour at a time.
Your hands will freeze very quickly. Yeah. I had a really tough time on my desert sled coming back up from that Mexico trip. It was like 45 and cold and wet and nighttime for a good 4 hours of that ride.
I'm surprised that the sled doesn't have heated grips on it, to be honest.
Me too. The BMW, the video that came out this Sunday, by the time this comes out, the Urban GS has heated grips and cruise control. I'm like, that's nice.
You got to get those heated grips for the sled.
I know.
I got to believe it's just a Ducati Biscotti Extra.
For sure.
Just got to pay $500 to get them activated.
Exactly. Yeah.
Tube here.
Tube somehow. I've ridden a hardtail Sportster from Reno to Salt Lake City. Dang. It was legit. Just lay back on your duffel bag and chill out. Hardtail Sportster from Reno to Salt Lake City.
Pass.
That is pretty cool, though.
Although those roads are pretty smooth out there.
Yeah.
They don't get a bunch of like cracking and stuff.
No, they're pretty slick. Yeah, good roads.
Next up, we got Techno King.
Techno King, hello Yami Noob team. The longest ride I've done was about 6 hours, can't really tell you the miles. Middle of summer, I took out my Gixxer 750 with my dad and both of my brothers, each of them on their own bikes. To this day, this is the highlight of all my memories riding. Love riding with my family and going out on adventures. That's the big thing about riding for a long distance and stuff like that, is you build a lot of memories. You get these cool stories out of it. You're never going to have a big long ride that you did and you don't have some cool stories from it, you know?
Yeah. And it's always fun to do this with other people because then you don't get as lonely while you're out there.
Yeah.
Next up, we got River.
River says, so I'm a newer rider. I've been riding for a year and a half. I have an 883-04 Sportster. Unfortunately, as much as I love this bike, it's hard for me to ride over an hour, especially in Maine where the roads are shitty in spring and summer. My Sportster has mid-controls and buckhorn bars, long pullbacks. I'm 5'11", so when I ride, my knees are practically touching my hands. As you can imagine, over time, it becomes super uncomfy. If I had the chance, I would grab an Indian Chief or a Softail Slim and just ride. Maine has so many beautiful places to ride, and yet I've yet to really experience a full ride. Here's a pic of the bike. Yeah, that is quite swept back. Again, it's all about that tool, all about the right tool for the right job, or, you know.
Well, I mean, if you want to go somewhere on the Sportster, replace the shocks.
Yeah.
I mean, that made a huge difference on our Sportster. Big difference.
I mean, that thing would bottom out over a penny. You know what I mean? It was ridiculous.
And it changes the ergonomics a lot. It makes it more comfortable. Mm-hmm. Really take a look at some shocks. If you've got like $200 lying around, you can get a nice, not even like a nice set, just something longer.
Yeah.
And it's just better. All right. Next up, we got Bad Assler.
Bad Assler says, the longest ride I did on the Duke 790 was 5 hours. Really nice scenery and roads. It just wasn't my thing. I've done a couple 2 to 3 hour rides on the T7, but they were dual sporty rides, forest roads and trails mostly. On my dirt bike, I think the longest I've done was 4.5 hours of rough single track from Council Lake, Council Lake, Washington, up to the Boundary Trail. It's a Jumbo Peak, 1,800 feet elevation climb. Dirt bike was the most fun. Jumbo Peak views. That is a nice view.
Yeah, it is.
That sounds great. Just like 4.5 hours of just fun dirt bike, single track stuff.
I'm surprised we haven't heard more about the T7 from Bad Assler.
I mean,
haven't you done the Romaniacs yet?
I thought he did the Romaniacs. Yeah. Bad Assler, that's something we want to do. It's actually up on the 2022 board up here. I'm going to hit you up. I want to do a dirt bike ride up there in the Pacific Northwest. So we will be in touch.
That would be sweet.
Yeah.
Next up, we got ICA Jeweler.
ICA Jeweler. I have done a lot of long rides in the short time I've been riding. The longest was easily a 15-hour day circling the North Carolina mountain twisties. Kept my bike on the red line for a good 70% of the ride. It was a CBR 650F, the real Hornet successor, not the 650R dud. Best part was my friend did it on RC390, and he's over 6 feet tall. But the 650F was comfortable all day long. Favorite bike by far for an all-day mountain ride. Ran like a true Honda 4-cylinder. Loves the revs. I put 30K miles on it in a year of ownership. 15 hours.
That's rough, man. That's a lot.
That's a lot, dude. I feel like I'd get all I need to in about 5. 15 is like, I think I'm done. You know, like what else do I need to do here?
I mean,
go home and read a book.
At a certain point, where do you draw the line? You said 5 hours is about where you'd probably call it.
Of like hardcore twisty riding like that? Dude, 5 hours.
Or just like a day ride. Where would you call it?
A day ride? For me, 6 hours. I know I'm a bit of a baby. I don't care. For me, I'm like, if I just ride 6 hours, that's good. I'm done.
For like a good weekend ride, yeah, 6 hours is good for me.
Yeah. If I need to get somewhere like I did on the desert sled from Mexico, I'll push however long I need to. 9.5 hours, I'll get it done.
Yep.
But 15?
That is a long, long ride.
That's a long ride.
Next up, we got Phil.
Phil says, not a long ride, but I did about 300 miles on a Honda PCX 150 scooter. Felt like 3,000 miles, LOL. Would like to take my Scrambler on a 12-hour trip to Rio do Rasta in Brazil. Google it. It's an unreal mountain road. Wow, that looks awesome.
I feel like I've seen that road before.
Yeah, there's some sick roads in Brazil, dude. I've only ever done them in a car, but São Paulo is situated kind of in a valley up in these mountains. To get down to the beach, you drive on these huge mountain overpasses and roads all the way down to the beach for like 2 hours. It's so sick.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bombing down that on a dual sport sounds like it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'd be sweet.
Next up, we got N. Harvey 17.
And Harvey says, the longest ride I've been on was about an hour on my R7. It was late October in Wisconsin. Picked it up from the dealer, accidentally popped a wheelie on it. Nice. It was my first time riding in real traffic. Took nothing but side roads back to my house. Took it on the highway the next day. Very overrated fear, by the way. Definitely want to take a long journey this summer. That is awesome. Very the kind of entry level rider stuff, like an hour. I'm like, we did like 3 today, you know?
I mean, it's October in Wisconsin, so it's probably like -5.
That is very true. Had not thought about that. It's probably absolutely so freezing cold there. Yeah. That's horrible.
Winter starts in September. So, Guitar 00777.
They say, not my longest ride, but my favorite semi-long ride was from central Utah to southern Utah. So many good roads out there. Ended up renting a newer VMAX off of Twisted Road. One of the most exhilarating rides, but I swear I had to stop and get gas every hour, but 100% do it again. Yeah, I could see that on the VMAX.
VMAX has a comically bad fuel range.
Yeah.
My buddy who has a
friggin'
VMAX.
1600cc, 200 horsepower bike.
Yeah, he's the first guy, like every gas station we pass, he's like, I gotta get gas. It's kind of a running joke in our group. Next up, we got Vince82.
Vince82 says, you can make as many miles as you want on most standard ergo bikes. Totally agree. I have done plenty of long rides on my FZ6 and then the Tracer 900 and now the V-Strom 1050. Ideal distance for me is about 400 to 500 miles, little highway as possible, as many cool views and twisties as possible. And since I have the V-Strom also with plenty of gravel roads, I take the long distance side of ADV. I prefer a longer, simple gravel ride to beautiful places than a technical single trail to nowhere. My wife loves the pillion ride on longer rides. It's a nice way to stay together, chat, enjoy the views with no distraction. Great couple therapy. That's really sweet. Yeah, I know a lot of people love doing 2-up rides with their significant others for super long distances. It's like the whole thing the Goldwing's about, you know?
Yep.
It's a whole shtick.
I personally would just rather have my girlfriend on her bike than 2-up. Because 2-up, for me, especially on bikes that aren't really built for it, which I personally think most motorcycles are not built for 2-up. Yes, they have passenger pegs, but it's just they feel like ass.
Yeah.
The DRZ sucks. The SMCR sucks. The VFR was actually really good for 2-up riding. The 919 is fine. It gets the job done. And then the Harleys that I had were okay.
Yeah.
I really don't like 2-up riding.
I don't either. It's really not my bag.
Next up, we got Adams.
Adam says, I've done about a half-day long ride at a time on my DR and XSR a few times, but I wouldn't want to do a much longer trip than that without breaking it up and spending the night. I drive back and forth about 400 miles between NorCal and SoCal to visit family like every other month, but I take my car because it would be a 2-day trip each way on a bike, and I can crush it in like 6 hours so much more easily and comfortably in the car. I know that sounds like a pansy ass, not a real biker attitude, but I'd rather take a long moto trips when I have time to chill out and take my time as a vacation, not when I'm trying to get somewhere as quickly as I want to do, as quickly as I can. I want to do the TAT someday, but that's something you're forced to take your time on. I totally agree with that, man. Honestly, for me, whenever I just need to get somewhere that's far away, I will always take my truck.
Yep.
I will never take my bike. Never.
Yeah, I lately, since it's been cold, now I'm like 10 minutes from the shop.
Yeah.
I can wander out of the house and be here in 10 minutes, and I will not take my bike if it's like cold in the morning. I'm a giant pansy now. And I don't even care because it's like the car is just comfortable.
Yeah, save it for another day. I'd rather have high quality riding instead of a bunch of riding that's not great. You know?
We have Johnny Mish
He's just
back.
updating something on the old one.
So now we got Uber Cruiser.
Uber Cruiser says, rode the PCH from SF to LA and back on my SV650 to meet my girlfriend at the time for a wedding. We ended up getting into a huge fight at the wedding, but I didn't even care because I was more into the moto ride than her. No regrets. That's awesome. Yeah, again, PCH, LA to SF, dude, legendary. Such a good ride.
Cannot wait to do that one of these days.
Yeah, we gotta line it up.
And then we have Bad Assler updating and Jixer Squid update. These pictures that he's got.
That looks so miserable. Goldwing Boy's just laughing.
Yup.
Chilling. Yeah, so that's going to wrap up our long ride section, talking to DMs over here. And I've actually pulled up the fanfic. Chapter 1 has been available now to me. And I'm going to read it to you guys in this next segment. And let's see what happens. Alrighty, folks. This is Chapter 1 of the Yami-chan fanfic as provided by Millennial Malaise. I promised everyone we would read this. This is just the first chapter. He has promised me that there are 4 more chapters, so we'll have other segments sprinkled throughout here. But let's just get into this.
Here we go.
Let's begin. Warm amber rays, bisected by a window pane, lazily streak into the dormitory room and fall onto the stylized poster of a Daytona 675R that marked Yami-chan's side of the dorm. Despite having officially moved in over a month and a week ago, living in Japan and being a student at the prestigious Daijiro Kato International Riding Academy still felt like more dream than reality. As a riding school, the academy had more in common with an elite university than a local MSF course. Acres of the wooded single track led from the grounds into the surrounding countryside, interspersed with all kinds of trial-style obstacles. The undisputed centerpiece of the campus was the racetrack. 5 kilometers of long, fast corners, a chicane, and a couple of complexes that all culminated with a long straight that rivaled Mugello. This is where champions were forged. Many of the Academy's alumni would start successful careers in a wide range of racing series, World Rally, Hard Enduro, and World Superbike, not to mention the litany of race support positions. However, despite the proven track record that the Daijiro Kato School had earned over the past decade, no graduate had yet broken into motorcycling's penultimate series, MotoGP. A godlike racing prowess is only one of the multitude of skills necessary for a MotoGP racer. The heart of a winner is courageous, possesses an unmatched tenacity, and a ruthless desire to be the best. Since the beginning, racing had always been dominated by 2 archetypes, the aristocrat and the savant. Rich kids who would attend the finest race clinics, get advanced coaching, never have to worry about their machines, and usually get a seat in the racing series of their choice. The savants, on the other hand, were less common. People who you swore could ride before they could walk, read racing lines like music, and had an uncanny knack for pulling grip out of tires that were already stressed beyond their limits. Yami was neither an aristocrat nor a 2-wheeled Rain Man, but she had what many of those riders didn't: grit. Unlike a Hollywood underdog, Yami didn't get the chip on her shoulder from a disability she had to overcome or a slight from a rival. The Academy's vision had always been to broaden the pool of talent that participated in motorsport and novelly instituted a scholarship. High school students who expressed an interest in racing now had a pathway towards achieving their dreams of being a racer. Insecurity is a bitch. The students and staff at the Daijiro Kato had always been kind to her, and she frequently felt guilty for being so competitive towards her peers. But insecurity could be transformed into determination. And Yami knew that while she lacked the connections and raw talent of some of her richer and gifted classmates, she possessed a drive that would propel her to greatness. The philosophical ponderings of the late afternoon ended abruptly with the sound of suitcase rollers, footsteps, and a warm, if not over-eager, konnichiwa, from who Yami deduced quickly to be her new roommate. Watashi no namae, sorry, it's probably rude to introduce myself in a different language. My name is Suki. I'll try my best to stick to English, she announced excitedly. Yami, it's a little odd, I know, but I've been going by this for years, and why stop now, she replied quickly. To Yami, Suki looked the picture of youthful innocence. A meek schoolgirl standing no taller than 5 foot long with long black hair tucked behind her ear and a bracelet of an indeterminable anime character poking under her long sleeve of her uniform. I know it's your first day here, and you're probably tired of unpacking from orientation, but if you want to, a few of my friends are going to get food this evening. You're welcome to tag along if you want to, but no pressure, Suki said warmly. Unnervingly genuine, it caught her off guard how friendly and disarming her new roommate was. Yami always had a healthy dose of American skepticism, but even a lifetime of Southern hospitality had barely prepared her for this. Sure, it's not like I have plans right now, she replied sheepishly. Awesome! Let me change into some street clothes and I'll come back and we can walk there together. With that proclamation, Suki promptly left for the washroom, suitcase in tow. Despite the brief, awkward moment, she had an unexpectedly optimistic outlook on her future at the academy. She had to remind herself that Monday was yet to come, and like in racing, things could change fast. And that is the end of Chapter 1. We're introduced to Yami-chan, the character at a racing academy, and Suki, her dorm mate or dormitory compatriot, right? What do you think so far?
Is the name of the school the one from the racing, the motorbike anime? What is it? Bakuan?
Daijiro Kato.
Is that from the anime?
I don't know. I'm about to Google it, if my Surface will let me.
Surface would be like, no, stop.
It won't let me. It can't stream and search something on Google. It might be, yeah. We could ask Maleo Malays if that's the case. But yeah, first chapter read of the fanfic. We're excited to see where it's going to go next, right?
I'm surprised there haven't been tentacles already.
He said chapter 4 is where the tentacles emerge.
Oh, boy.
So we will have tentacles at some point, and we may not be able to post that on YouTube, so we will see. Anyways, we're now going to move on to the meme portion of our contest. Stick around. All right, folks, welcome to the meme contest for this week's Yamcast. We are goofing on a Meteor 350 rider that you saw that is just, he's a meme unto himself. You know, we don't want to dox the poor guy, but we saw this guy in Austin. If you're watching the podcast, I'm so sorry. We didn't put your name out there, your license plate or anything, but high vis in a Meteor 350?
This dude was just poodling down 35. It was one of the like rare moments where 35 has no traffic in downtown Austin. You could actually go like 70 miles an hour. He was just cruising at 55. That's probably the top speed of this Enfield.
Honestly, yeah.
Packed with a bunch of stuff on the back with the high-vis jacket. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
We have to... This cannot stand.
Yeah. So what are we rating on it today? Funniness and creativity?
Yeah, funniness and creativity.
We're not doing the thing from the other Yamcast where I was like, I don't know how to grade this because I don't understand what's happening.
Yep, I made it nice and simple this time. Okay, so River is first up with...
All right. River here's got a kind of a sweaty, double button meme here. It says, do you think you're a badass? Says no, and then hell no, and then he's trying to like sweat and pick between the two. A bit of a low blow there, but I like it. Okay.
So, for River, creativity.
Known meme format, so I'm going to give it a 5.5.
5.5.
Yeah.
And funniness.
I think a 6.
A 6.
Yep.
Next up, I can't even read that.
Rashpard? Rashipard. Says his curse will become his power. Gorst Rydor. And it's just a Meteor 350 guide, like a bunch of flames and stuff. Yeah, nice. I like that. That's a good one. I've never seen. Is this what is that Nicolas Cage movie with the Ghost Rider?
You've not seen it?
I've never seen it. No.
Oh, dude, it is a masterpiece of horrific Nicolas Cage cinema.
Why is it that guy is like totally like up or down? You know what I mean? Like you never know where he's gonna go.
Okay, this is completely random, but have you seen that he is currently working on a movie where he is playing himself?
I need to watch that.
Yes,
I need to see that. I've not seen that. That sounds good.
It's just the dude he's on a whole nother level.
Whole nother level.
Okay, so for Rashperd.
Creativity here, I think a 6.5.
A 6.5.
Not a known meme format, something funny.
Funniness.
Funniness here, I think a 6.
A 6.
Yeah, got a good chuckle out of me.
Next up is Jixer Squid. This might actually be no, it's just a meme.
Jixer Squid here. Jim Steinman's Bat Outta Hell, the musical, including #1 hits like It Won't Start, Kickstart, baby, not as much as you think, reliability is just a word. Just doing a massive wheelie. That's pretty awesome.
I like that.
This one's pretty great. I like the #1 hits thing. Mm-hmm. Not as much as you think. That's good because apparently people think a Royal Enfield's $25,000.
I still can't believe that.
Can't believe that. The Goldwing is 28. You think of really? Really? People don't know anything about bikes.
Okay, so for Jixer Squid, creativity here.
This one I like this one. It's more creative than both of them had a similar theme, but this one is a little more creative. I think it's a 7.5.
A 7.5, I agree.
Yeah.
And funniness.
Good chuckle, 7.5.
7.5. That is a solid 15. Next up, we got Techno King. I think this is a video here.
Oh, I love this meme format. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, so this is a really known meme format. It's like the Giga Chad versus like the nerd who's like raging out. It's just like the whole Yami Noob Discord and just like the Meteor 350 guy just like enjoying his life, you know? So I like this because it's like it's a reversal and we're like, oh, you know, roast this guy. And he's like, no, I will not be roasted, you know?
I will ride my Meteor 350 with the high-vis vest.
I made a meme just like that for Instagram. It was on the left side of the dude was arguing. It was like Ninja 400 versus R3 people, and then on the right it was Jixer 250 people, and it's just like.
If only they saw what the Jixer 250 had become.
I know.
So
what God had wrought.
No God was involved in its creation.
Absolutely not. Not even close.
So for Techno King here, creativity.
Known meme format, but executed pretty well. I think a 6.
A 6.
Yeah.
And funniness.
Got a good chuckle out of me. I think a 6.5.
A 6.5. That's 12.5. Next up, we've got Team CFRY, FVY. I'm not sure.
Something like that. Y'all need better usernames. Can't read these. That's Hartman Foscari.
Here we go.
There we go. Team CFEY, secondhand eBay helmet, $50. High-vis safety vest, $10. Royal Enfield, BMW. Oh, this is the Fortnite thing. Knowing I have the cleanest oil from the factory, priceless. There's something else here. It says, what's that one on the bottom left there? Something $4,500. I think it's the bike.
Knockoff CB350.
Yeah, knockoff CB350, $4,500. Yeah, knowing you have the cleanest oil, priceless.
You got to make that text a little bit easier to see.
Yeah, that was a little hard. God, do you remember when this video came out?
Everyone
was adding us, being like, "Did you see this? Royal Enfield best bike ever, better than KTM.
Aprilia unreliable.
Aprilia horrible." I'm like, oh guys, use your brain. That's not what the video's saying.
Anyway, I think he says it at one point.
He does, but no one made it to that part of the video.
You got to start with that.
Yeah.
All right, so for Team CFVY here.
Reasonably creative, I think a 6.
A 6.
Yeah.
And funniness.
I think a 5.
A 5.
It was hard to read, too, so I'll kind of dock it a little bit.
Agreed. Next up, we got Hartman Foscari.
Nope,
that's
one
the
back.
Chazen. There we go.
Hartman Foscari here. MSF, $100. Helmet you bought on eBay, $50. Gear, work boots, work gloves, work vest, and your normal jean and leather jacket you bought in a thrift shop for a while ago, free. Enjoying a ride on the Bargain Bin brand, priceless. So this is the same format as the other one, so I don't know who copied who here, and which one was more successful.
Yeah.
At least this one I can read. The other one I couldn't quite read.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of want to grade them exactly the same because it's basically the same meme.
Yep.
Let's just do that.
But I think here, just take a moment, because this is the biggest version of the original photo that we have.
I really want to gaze upon this guy, yeah. So he's got a little bag on the back.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the leather. I mean, it looks like he's literally just going to work, like at his construction job.
Yeah.
It's totally fair, man. You got to get around. But
why that bike?
Why that bike? I mean, it is bargain bin, you know? Like, gets it done for, I think that bike brand new is like $3,800 or something.
He's even got the little windscreen on there.
Yeah, he does. I mean, it's just as comfortable as a Goldwing.
You can do what we did today on the Meteor 350. I'll let you have that.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna rate that the same, 6 and 5.
Yep, 6 and 5.
That's an 11. Then we got the Chazen.
The Chazen here, I love this format. It's a quadrant meme, so it says knows what sex is and is the Meteor 350. Not sure if I agree with that. Doesn't know what sex is and is the Fireblade. Says knows what sex is and doesn't is the 1098. And then doesn't know what sex is and doesn't is the ZX6R. I don't know if I would agree with that. I think the ZX6 would be doesn't know what sex is and so that would be the ZX6.
Yeah.
And then the Fireblade would be doesn't know what or knows what sex is and doesn't is the Fireblade.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't think the 1098 belongs on this quadrant, honestly. Maybe it's the knows what sex is and I think the Meteor 350 would be in the lower right.
Yeah.
Doesn't know what sex is and doesn't
We had to completely rebuild his meme.
Yeah, we had to redo it for you. But maybe he flipped it on its head to make it funny, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so for the Chazen here, creativity.
I love a quadrant meme. It's a known format, but it's pretty good. I think a 6.5.
6.5. And funniness.
We did have to redo his quadrants.
Yep.
I think a 6.5.
6.5.
Yeah.
Vince 82 is next.
Here is an
I got
example of a regular bike, the Meteor 350. You can see it carrying luggage and being visible to better escape predators at intersections. These motorcycles are perfectly at ease in urban environment. They are dependable and easy to run and can be found at all latitudes from the tip of Alaska to the steepest tracks on the Himalayas to soon even the South Pole. They differ from other local fauna of the Texas highway system, the Turbo Busa, by not being constantly broken.
Oh.
Bummer, low blow, 0 and 0. No, I'm just kidding. That whatever that machine learning thing that got David Attenborough's voice there is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It kind of did a good job. Yeah.
So, creativity.
It was pretty creative. And a good amount of effort went into it. How about a 7.5?
A 7.5. And funniness.
I think a 7.
A 7.
Yeah.
That's 14.5. Next up, we got Yankee Hater 18.
It says when you spend half of your first bike budget and gear budget on Bitcoin, and then the Meteor 350 is going to the moon.
Huh?
When you spend half of your first bike and gear budget on Bitcoin, and it's mooning, so it's kind of like a common meme for Bitcoin. It's like, oh, it's going to the moon, you know, it's gonna, you know.
But
I don't know why the Meteor 350 would be going to the moon.
Womp womp.
I'm not sure about this one, guys.
Okay.
To be a good meme, it's got to be immediate and funny and good.
Creativity.
A 5? I don't know.
And funniness.
Middle of the road. 1?
Ouch.
Didn't really understand it.
That's a 6.
Sorry, Yankee hater.
Next up, we got Bad Assler rounding things out.
Oh, boy.
Cast it into the fire! Destroy it! should have ended that day, but evil was allowed to endure.
It's Tube.
That is Meteor 350. Unless my eyes are cheated by some spell.
More sound.
I love that.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
I'm a giant Lord of the Rings nerd too, so that hit me right in the feels.
I just love the faces in the beginning. It's cast it out of the fire. Just, no. Just walks away with it. That was good.
Creativity here.
Pretty high. I mean, he had to synthesize this all together, think about it. I think an 8.5 for sure.
8.5.
Yeah, it's powerful.
And funniness.
Got a good chuckle. I think an 8.
An 8.
Yeah. Clear winner this week.
Yep, goes to Bad Assler.
Yep. First place there. Second place, though, is Jigsaw Squid.
Who is on cooldown.
Well, bummer for you, Jigsaw Squid.
Yep.
Pick another one. Would be that 14
next down
and a half.
Is Vince 82. I'll have to check and see if he's on cooldown or not. We did reset cooldowns for the Turbo Busa Spectacular.
We did. Then we got the Chazen is in fourth place there. 13.
Yeah, the Chazen at 13.
Yep.
And let's go down one more just to be safe here.
Be between those 12 and a half, so it would be between
Rashiperd
and Techno King.
Techno King. So let's check those out. So the second meme was this one.
Okay.
And then Techno Kings was this one.
I like this one better.
Okay,
Yeah.
I agree. So that would go fifth place, I suppose, to Techno King. There we go.
Sweet. Well, folks, that's going to wrap up the meme contest. Thanks so much for hanging out. If you've stuck around this whole time, we had a lot of fun this week. Remember, if you've made it to this end of the Yamcast and you like the Yamcast, you want to support the Yamcast on a deeper level, head over to Yammy.co. Join the Discord. If you're not on the Discord and you've made it to the end of the Yamcast on YouTube, I feel like you would like the Discord and you should join, right? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you made it all the way to the end of a Yamcast and you want to see these fanfics and there's all this crazy bullshit on here, you should probably just join. We'll catch you in the next one. See you later.